Excellent. Can everybody make sure to turn on mute, please? Thank you.
Gotcha. I'll have Pam call you.
All
Okay.
right.
And sorry, your name again? Sarah, right.
Somebody else turn on the mute. Wonderful. Wonderful. Hello, my name is Heath Burkles, and I would like to thank you on behalf of the organizers of the summit for being here. I am from Edmonton, and I am going to be your MC for the second summit for our series. And let's see. Is Barbara here at all yet? I'm asking the hosts.
No, I do not see Barbara.
Okay, then I guess I'll have to do the acknowledgement. Okay, perfect. Okay, we would like to begin this summit with a land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that we are on treaty land. We acknowledge all of the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries. To begin, we want to make this meeting as accessible as possible. So here's some accessibility options. We are asking you to shut off your video while we aren't speaking, so it's easier for the other people attending to find the presenters or the ASL interpreter. If you take your mouse pointer or use your finger on a tablet or phone and move it to the bottom of the screen, a toolbar appears. On this toolbar, there is a list of options. On the toolbar is a symbol that looks like a video camera on the far left of your screen, as well as a microphone. Press the symbols of the video camera with either your mouse pointer or if you're using a tablet or phone with your finger. This shuts down the video and shows a red line across the video camera. You can follow these instructions to turn off the microphone to mute yourself as well, or press *6 on a phone. This helps in making sure that we can all hear the MCs and presenters more clearly. If you have any difficulties with instructions, please message one of our hosts and/or moderators. You can do this on a computer or tablet or phone by going to the toolbar with either your mouse pointer or if you have a tablet or phone using your finger and clicking chat. A menu will appear on the right side of the screen, or if you're using a tablet or phone, it will be on your main screen. And in that space near the bottom is where you can chat your comments. If you check right above it, it will show which one of the hosts you can send it to. Our two hosts for the event today are Rofia and Carrie. All right, so we are joined by an ASL interpreter, Deb Russell, who will be our interpreter from Flick for those who need to use ASL interpretation for the summit. If you need ASL, please look for ASL interpreter Deb Russell on the participant list. To make sure the ASL interpreter is focused on, go to the speaker setting on the upper right of your screen. There is a picture that may look like a large square with several small boxes above it. This is the speaker setting. If the picture that it reveals shows several equally sized boxes, that is the gallery setting. You will know it's a speaker setting as a check mark will be right beside where it says speaker. This allows your screen to focus on the person speaking. From here, choose pin under the participant, Deb Russell. Once you have pinned to Deb Russell, you can ensure that you can see the interpreter. We would like you to know this summit will also be closed captioned and recorded. We would like to remind you that this session is being recorded, so please feel free to turn off your video. As we will be sharing this recording and the notes on the AACT YouTube channel. We have a closed captioner from KLM who will be providing a link to activate the live closed captioning. The link to the closed captioning is also located in the chat for people who are hard of hearing. If we could ask everyone in the summit to please raise your virtual hand to acknowledge the meeting is being recorded. To do so and raise your virtual hand, go to the bottom of your screen with your mouse pointer or with your finger if it's a tablet or phone to click on to participants. Then click your mouse pointer or touch the part of the screen on your tablet or phone on the blue raise hand message under participants list on the right side of your screen. If you have a phone, press *9 on the telephone to raise your hand. Thank you. This will be a way of letting the host and moderator know that you have something to say that will help them be able to navigate and help you. And if I could get the host to clear the hands so that we can get started. And thank you, everyone. All right, as today's summit is on disability arts and culture, we have the honor to have 3 prolific artists and 2 amazing arts communities, all of whom call Alberta home and will present about their journeys in the arts world. The first, we will have the authors, Paulette McGinnis, and then Barb Oseemeemow, followed by Alison Newman, who is also an author, but in addition to that is also a playwright, a dancer, and a choreographer. Alison will be joined by the general manager, Mireille Rijavec, and they will be representing who is the general manager for CRIPSiE, and which is an inclusive arts community based in Edmonton that performs dance and stage performance, as well as teaches various dance styles and teaches emerging choreography. Lastly, we will have Executive Director Cseke with Accessibility Associate Ricky Entz, with playwright and performer Jennifer Stewart will represent Inside Out Theater. Inside Out Theater, it was founded in 1993 and is a inclusive artists community based in Calgary that does stage performance, playwriting, inclusive filmmaking, good hosting, as well as artistic basic income. So each group will have approximately 7 minutes to talk or show us a presentation. Note that you will be muted at this point. So first, we will hear from the author, Paulette McGinnis.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paulette McGinnis. I am an advocate and an author. I have been involved in the self-advocacy movement since 2000. When I had an
May I
opportunity.
interrupt you for a moment and ask you to put your camera on so that people can see you as you're talking?
Okay, start camera.
Thank you.
People see me? Okay, an opportunity to take the course at first. I was really nervous because I didn't know what would be expected for the 5 days I was attending. At this point, I would like to read on an insert on chapter 6 of my book. This is my book, Conquering Life. Leadership Today started off with a pilot project in 1996 that considered professional discussion to the future of the organization. Gail Stevens and Sandra Mack had a vision to build an organization that would help adults with disabilities advocate for themselves and help individuals build up their self-esteem and self-confidence. Both ladies believe that adults with disabilities make difference in their own lives and work countless hours develop their training. Sandra and her team contacted Stephen Covey, who wrote the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, to see if they would use his material. They asked Janet Pringle to develop these material in plain language so people with disabilities could easily understand the materials. In May of 2000, my life changed by taking the course, part of the course. I did not know what would be expected and I was nervous, but I still showed up for the workshop. I was in the 5-day course, even though I felt nervous and insecure about myself. Throughout the 5 days, I learned how to advocate for myself and believe in myself. I learned the steps to become a self-advocate. And at the end of the 5 days, I received a certificate in completing the course. I was proud of myself and I had to stay in the course. It made me realize that I am a unique person. In 2001, a year before the Train the Trainer course, I was involved in a fair group project was based in Calgary, where I learned about which is fair and what is unfair for people with disabilities. This was a really good workshop because it taught us how people with disabilities are treated unfair within the society. It showed that we should be respected and treated fairly. In 2002, I took Train the Trainer Train the Trainer course. This course taught us how to teach the Leadership Today course. And the idea behind it was to help people with disabilities to better support and self-advocate. I learned how to do presentation, how to use an overhead projector and overheads, and the proper way of presenting the workshop. This really opened my eyes. My intention today it was to do a presenting is to inspire one or two or even more people to show them that even though you have a disability, you can accomplish whatever you set your mind to. We are leaders. If anyone would like to purchase a book, just let me know, and you could e-transfer me at my email at willow14@telus.net. I can mail it to you guys. The cost is $10 and the shipping is $4. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paulette.
You're
And
welcome.
we will make sure to send out your information so that we can make sure that all the people attending can access that. So thank you again.
You're welcome.
And now for our next author, Barb Oseemeemow. Has Barb been able to connect?
I have not seen Barb on here. I did send her a message to ask if everything was okay, but I do not see her unless she is anonymous under iPhone or Galaxy.
Okay. Well, I will give her another couple seconds and then wait. Well, hopefully we'll be able to connect with Barbara before the end of this summit. So our next, we will hear from author, playwright, and choreographer, Alison Newman.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Alison Newman. I am an author of the book Ice Rose, a young adult spy novel, a memoir called Searching for Normal, a Don't Eat Family Children series. Each of my books is a character experiencing marginalization because when I was a child and when I was growing up, I had no one to identify with in my literature. So all my characters explore that. One of my produced plays was called The Sunset Syndrome, and it explored how dementia affects both the person and their loved ones. I also had a musical that was produced called Searching for Normal, and I shared about the journey of a girl who was trying to find normal and finding that being average was not all that she thought it was. I am also a choreographer, and I've been very lucky to work with integrated and mainstream dancers. We collaborate together on movements and messages that we feel like are not being shared. And we have been very lucky to have pieces included in festivals and organizations that have included our pieces. I have also been very lucky to be an artist with the integrated dance community for 9 years, and I have participated in mainstream classes and many performances with iDance and CRIPSiE as well. So that's everything for my little blurb.
All right. Well, thank you, Allison. And now, Allison, I'd like you to stay on this and then present with General Manager Mireille Rijavec to talk about CRIPSiE. Allison is also is an artistic associate for CRIPSiE as well.
Hello, everybody. As Heath introduced, my name is Mireille, and I'm the new general manager for CRIPSiE, but also their first general manager. I think it's quite exciting for the organization that once you start to hire staff, it means you're growing. So, I've only started in August, so I'm still learning quite a bit. I'm getting to know our membership. We just had a wonderful online event called Pajama Jam, where our choreographers and guest choreographers presented processes and some excerpts, and we were able to discuss the presentations and ask questions. And I as well, I got to meet people and learn a lot. And so I just thought I would touch upon, I know this is about the arts, but I think what's very important is that the arts be supported. And so that the artists, such as Paulette or Alison can actually do their art unfettered, in the sense where there's somebody in the background writing the arts grants applications and selling the tickets and liaising between the board and the organization and getting people paid. Often it's the artists doing that themselves, and it's quite a burden. So I'm happy to do that, happy and humbled to do that for CRIPSiE. Myself, I'm a classically trained singer, and I've been in arts management for quite a few years. So this is a time of substantial change for CRIPSiE, not only because of the pandemic where we're kind of in hiatus, but also because once you start to grow, you start to want to establish policies and procedures to make sure that the board understands what they're doing, and that the artists are clear that if there are complaints, they know who to go to. All that kind of foundational work is what I'm going to be assisting with. So yeah, and I think CRIPSiE's work so far that I've seen is really quite compelling. If you haven't seen the work, there are videos online. It's quite remarkable what the ensemble has been able to do. So yeah, and I hope one day we can go live again. We probably will. Yeah, so that's my role. I see myself as a facilitator for people like Alison. And you may or may not know that Heath is our board chair and also has performed many times. So also to assist artists such as Heath. So I think that's all I wanted to say. And thank you for including me on this forum. I think it's quite exciting to see and hear all of you.
Do you have anything to add in on that, Alison?
Well, I thought maybe we could discuss a little bit about some of the arts and the programs that CRIPSiE offers for our community. And one thing that we are very excited about is, for the past few years, we have been trying to bring education and make it accessible for our dancers, because they don't have the financial or the physical access to mainstream dances and classes. So we've been very lucky to be pairing with some renowned choreographers such as Alice Shepard and Peggy Baker to bring in pieces that they have collected and to collaborate with our artists to then stage these pieces that can be performed. We have also been working, and we're so lucky to have Mireille working on our team, because we're able to actually financially pay our dancers at a rate that other dancers in the community are being paid. So that is also very important. And also, we are very excited because we have been offering a choreography mentorship. So someone in our community who is a choreographer and is established will work with some of the former dancers in our community who are making the bridge from performers to choreography, to mentor them and to provide opportunities. We are so lucky this time to have Ainsley Hilliard from the Good Women. She is working with them. And we are working on not only providing them advice, but also feedback on the process, on the creation. We help them with finding rehearsal spaces, dancers, and they get a performance in our show. So it is a wonderful opportunity to help all of us not only grow as artists, but also as choreographers and performers, and to make the arts accessible for us and some of the challenges that we come up against.
You. All right, so next and lastly, we have Executive Director, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing names, I'm probably going to do this a lot, Executive Director Cseke, with Accessibility Associate Ricky Yentz, with Playwright and performer Jennifer Stewart, and they will I'll be representing Inside Out Theater. Inside Out Theater is an inclusive arts community based in Calgary and does stage performances, playwriting, inclusive arts, inclusive filmmaking, good hosting, as well as artistic basic income.
Heath, I also noticed that Barb is now with us.
Oh, excellent. All right. Do you mind if Barb goes next, and then we can finish off with Inside Out Theater?
That works great.
Awesome. So, Barb, if you would like to, we've gotten our second artist here who is an author, and I will leave the floor for you, Barb.
Okay. All right. So I wrote a book in Etno called Nose Fairy, and I've been writing it now for like possibly like 3 years or something.
Please, can you put on your camera? Please put on your camera.
Start your video. Okay. Okay. There you go. Okay. So it's just that I started this book in Etno for like 3 years now. I've been working on it 3 years. Of course, like it's like with me in Etno, it's like the indecisiveness of my mental health in Etno. It's been off-putting, you know, sometimes, not because like I've been trying to like see, you know, what kind of like audience, you know, my book would have in that, you know, like of course, no, it's a children's book in that, no. So I've been working on that now for 3 years for the course. Yeah, so yeah.
Thank you, Barb. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so now lastly, we come to Inside Out Theater. I am not going to do the full introduction again, but I look forward to your presentation.
Great. Hello. Greetings from Inside Out Theater in Calgary. Jen, do you want to chat?
Yeah, my name is Jennifer Stewart, and I have a developmental disability as well as an OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, which is considered a mental health issue. I've been involved in the disability arts since 1999. I first got involved with Michelle Ducotney, who used to do Theater of the Oppressed, and that company did the first Disability Arts Festival in Calgary. And then I moved on to Theater Utopia, which was a mainstream company for youth, as well as I was in a arts mentorship program with that company. And I did a show called Diva Me, which I kind of was the inspiration behind it. It was kind of funny stories that I had gotten myself into, and the person that I was working with, she kind of wrote those stories into a play called Diva Me. And then I moved on to Momo Movement, and I was in their performance company for about 10 years, doing various shows. I might have done maybe 6 or 7 spring shows with them. And then also, then I moved to Inside Out Theater, and now I'm in their performance company as well as their Playwright program.
Thanks, Jen. Ricky, would you like to speak a little more to what's up at Inside Out?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ricky. So like a lot of folks here, I started out as a self-advocate. I also started out in the arts, but mainstream arts, like many people do, especially women. I navigated my life with no formal diagnosis or disability, even though it was very clear that there was both of those things. I have a physical disability that is very obvious now because I use a wheelchair, but I didn't use a wheelchair growing up. And like Jen, I also have OCD and developmental disability and many concussions. And so I mostly just consider myself multiply disabled. And so I left theater and became, I left theater and ended up working more in advocacy as I was trying to go to school, which didn't work out. And through advocating, I sort of became involved in Inside Out, and I started with the relaxed performances, which what relaxed performances are is the idea that like everyone should be welcome at the theater and welcome as we are. So you shouldn't have to change how you exist. You should be able to just attend a theater or a show. That's the main way I think about it. And I really like, as we're doing digital things, I like the idea of relaxed theater because my favorite way to engage in performances is to be sitting in my bed, eating lots of snacks, and then like making commentary or snarky commentary to someone like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did that. But you're not supposed to do that in the theater. And so I really like that. And that's something that I've really got to embrace working with Inside Out. Some of the cool things we've done at Inside Out Theater, and Cole and I were talking about this, it has to do with institutions. So an institution being an organization. An organization is often supported more than an individual is. And so as an organization, we've looked at that and said, what is our role and how can we help? So one thing we did is called Artistic Basic Income. And we said to disabled artists, we said, we'll give you some money. And this money, you'll get some money every month. But it's not like, you know, PDD or ACE, where we're gonna be very like, what did you spend it on? How did you spend it? It's not like a grant where it has to go to a project. It's money that you can buy whatever you need. And the idea that is if your needs are met, you will create art or you'll be better to do other things. And so that was a very cool thing that we've been able to start, and I think is really one of the coolest projects I've been able to be a part of. The other big project being The Good Host, and it's just created a lot of, there's just been a lot of fun things we've done since then. I don't know where we are at time, so.
We have quite a bit of time kind of left over. If you guys have anything else you want to add, otherwise that, or we can move on.
Oh, I just wanted to say that the ensemble that I'm part of at Inside Out, we just finished doing an online performance, which was really cool to be able to still be able to use, you know, like my acting ability and all that stuff during COVID. And it was an interesting experience. And we just did that about 2 or 3 weeks ago. We did 2 shows, and the show was about 30 minutes long. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Awesome.
I think, Ricky speaking, what I would just mention is that especially for people with cognitive or intellectual disabilities, often achievements that are made by us are not always celebrated. We might not even know our own history. It was, you know, it's always really great to hear what other people have done, and especially coming, I moved to Alberta only 4 years ago. So I'm learning a lot about what's happened here. I'm from Manitoba, and there's some major history that like I created. And so I know that, but I don't know other things. And so I think what's really important for people to be aware of is that this art that appeared digitally was pioneered within disability communities because we couldn't leave our houses. Maybe it was wintertime, maybe we didn't have access, maybe people were too sick, or you didn't have the support work, whatever it was, we were pioneering that. And we don't get the credit. We're not getting the paid jobs to consult on this, but that was us. And so I think it's really important for people to know that. And if you want to do art and you're thinking, oh, but it's different now, be confident, because this is where we shine. This is what we were doing originally. And two examples that we did with Inside Out. When I first was starting, Cole invited me to go to Banff, which was amazing. And one of our members was unable to attend because of a snowstorm. And so before Zoom, we put them on an iPad and we used Skype. And we made some really, really cool art because they were on this iPad, and it was really fun. And for years, I was so sick. I missed so many things because I couldn't make it there. Or maybe like, you know, having a mental illness, like my brain was just, that was too much. And when we were sitting in that room and the facilitator, Cyrus Marcus Ware, was like, yeah, I'm always excited about more opportunities to create art in bed. And I was like, wait, I'm allowed to do that? And now I embrace that. And if you can't see, I'm sitting in my bed right now. I'm cozy, I'm comfortable, and I'm creating art. And I think especially for these kind of disabilities, we have what's called respectability politics. That means that you're told that unless you do it in a certain way, it's not valid. I feel that a lot myself, where, you know, in my work, I don't have a university degree. I'm the only person on our staff that identifies having a cognitive disability, and I struggle a lot in my position, and I'm open about it because I want other people to know that that happens and that's okay, and that you still belong, and that we can still do good work, and we will still do good work. We had another member of our team was in Europe, and we were filming a video, and so we used Skype again and projected her face onto the wall and made a really cool video effect. So if you're wondering, what can I do in COVID? Maybe I'm scared to leave the house, people are making fun of me or something. There are things that we can do because we have always been creative people who have found solutions in hard times. That's my end of thought.
Thank you, Ricky. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what I'm being sent right now, but I would really like to add, especially considering we have a little bit more time before we were about to go into questions and answers. And I was wondering, Barbara, if you would like to read a passage from your book.
Oh, yes. Yes, definitely. So, yeah. So, it's called The Nose Fairy. And, okay, so there once was a nose fairy that lived in a faraway village called Fairyland. This fairy had was a very special fairy named Rose. She loved to wake up at night with her sparkly wings and take the noses from the kids, especially kids who had colds. Rose the fairy had magical powers that she could use when she collected all the noses and brought them back to fairyland. She would take extra special care of the noses, making sure they are happy and not sick before bringing them back. Today, Rose had a problem. Every day, Rose returns noses to kids before they wake up in the morning. This was hard because Fairyland was far away from the kids, and she would fly over Trollland. Flying over Troll Village would be very scary, because the trolls would wait for her, hoping to drop the noses. Some of the trolls have special powers themselves. One day, the nose fairy was flying over Troll Village. She was caught in the wind, and her bag dropped into the arms of a nearby troll. She was worried about the troll taking away the noses forever. She was worried about the bag of noses, that she decided to fly quietly down and get them back. But before she could, the troll ran into the house and locked the door. Rose the fairy was very sad. She did not know what she could do to get the bag of noses before the children wake up. However, she was a brave fairy and went to the troll's door, and she asked if she could have the noses back. It would be daylight soon. She needed to get the noses back to all the sleeping children. The troll said, "No, you'll never get the noses back." Rose was very frightened, and the only thing she could do is fly back to Fairyland. She decided to fly to the wise wizard that lived on the top of the highest mountain in Fairyland. She asked her friend, the ear fairy, to help her. They could get to the wizard faster if they worked together. They would have to go through Troll Village near the wizard's mountain. They have to be careful so they wouldn't get caught by any of the trolls. If they're seen by the trolls in that village, they'll be lost from Fairyland forever. The nose fairy sprinkled her fairy dust over the ear fairy's home, and the ear fairy flew up to her. The ear fairy was happy to see the nose fairy, but asked why her friend was upset. The nose fairy explained what happened with the troll, and the ear fairy volunteered to help. The ear fairy was delighted to help her friend on a long journey to the wizard's house on the mountain. She flew as quickly as they could, still needing to get the noses back before morning. They risked taking a shortcut through Troll Village. The ear fairy had an idea as they flew. Why don't we gather all the baby noses from Fairyland? We could take them back to the children while we speak to the wizard about how to rescue the children's noses. Rose was happy for the idea, hoping that none of the children would feel let down. They realized their noses were different. Together, the fairies gathered up all the baby noses and put them in magical bags and flew them to all the sleeping children. After their journey, they went flying through the flowers with buzzing with bees, were having so much fun. all the fairies realized they're entering Troll Village. The ear fairy pulled out a magic dust, sprinkled it all over them to make them invisible to the trolls. As they flew through Troll Village, it began to rain, pushing the fairies to take cover in the trees. The trolls were having a party, playing with all the noses they had taken. Suddenly, the trolls looked up. The fairies realized that the trolls could see them somehow. They realized that their fairy dust had washed away in the rain.
Okay, Barb, I think we're gonna have to start going into the Q&A now.
Okay.
But I can add some more suspense for the readers.
Yeah.
To get to see what happens in the book.
Yeah.
So thank you again, Barbara, for reading that. And thank you to all the artists who came here today. And like, it was just so meaningful hearing about like how each community and artist is really like cultivating themselves and really like nourishing how to make a better world for other artists with disabilities, and also to engage and create better things with the community as a whole. So I really appreciate all of you so much. And I would now like us to proceed to the question and answer session. So to get in line for asking a question, we would like you to please open up the chat on the bottom of the screen and put your name or question in the chat box. You can do this by phone by pressing *9 instead. Also, if anyone would like to buy a copy of Barb's book, there is an email link. We have also put email links for all of the artists, as well as contact information for the arts communities. And the prices for Paulette's book are also listed on the chat board. Yes, Mireille, what is your question? If you could open up your window so that we can see you.
Okay. There we are. I was fascinated by Ricky's presentation, or talking about the artistic basic income that Inside Out Theater is providing or organizing. And it makes perfect sense. Of course, if your needs are met, you can create art. Do you have, or other members like Cole or Jennifer, do you have more you can share with me or with us about that program? If it's a program, I'm just really curious. I think that's a great idea.
Hi. Yeah, I'm just, sorry. Okay, this is just, we'll just do that. Yeah, this is Ricky speaking. So the program is a 1-year pilot project. So that a pilot project means that we are trialing it out and we're going to see what happens. So when, say for example, you have a new show that you want to put on TV, you make a pilot first. So that is like you make a 1 episode. And that's often why like the first episode of a TV show always seems a little bit different than the rest of the episodes of a TV show. And so we're doing the pilot project right now. We selected 2 artists, and that was based on the amount of grant funding that we had. Also, the hope is that by us doing this, because sort of as we were already in the midst of creating this project, there was talk from other arts organizations about this, and there was that bigger push, especially from within the disability community, for a universal basic income. A universal basic income, for people that might not have heard this before, it's the idea that everyone gets a base amount. So it doesn't matter if you have a disability, if you don't have a disability. If you're like me and you have a disability, and maybe someone said, you know what, we don't think you're disabled enough, so that's too bad, no money for you. It means that everyone gets money, enough money to live on. And so the hope was sort of, we would start this project and hopefully more people would also take the initiative to create their own projects. And Cole, as the boss guy, can I think speak more to the logistics. I'll pass the mic, Cole.
Thank you. So far, that was helpful too. I don't know if Cole has any more to add, but I took some notes, so that's great.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ricky. Just, yeah, some straight like details or numbers. The program is we were able to offer a basic income of $6,000 to two artists, so each artist receiving $6,000. We worked together as a staff to make the application as easy and as barrier-free as possible. So, sorry, my phone's ringing. So it was open to anyone in Alberta who self-identified as an artist. And that was a really important part for us, recognizing that being an artist in and of itself is an identity that one can claim for themselves, and that a lot of other grants or training programs or things like that inherently have barriers as to who's considered an artist, and that you know, if being called an artist means you have to have a degree, well, that comes with a whole list of barriers in terms of who's able to access different training programs or things like that. So if you considered yourself an artist, you were eligible. And then if you identified as having a disability, being deaf or hard of hearing, or being mad or living with a mental illness, this program was for you. And so we had folks apply online or by the phone or through ASL video or through a kind of mail-in form. And then we drew the two names through a lottery process. Because it was important to us too to say that we think everyone is deserving, and that if we had, you know, the means and had our way, we would support everybody, but we're just not able to. But we didn't want to be in a position of judging or, you know, forming a jury to decide who was most deserving. We thought everyone was deserving, and the fairest way to do it was just to pull random numbers out of a hat. And so yeah, we just chose two folks. Another cool thing that happened is we worked with each of the recipients to talk about sort of the broader scope of their life, including other financial programs that they had. Because, you know, as folks know, if someone was an AISH recipient, for example, there may be different restrictions on what other income they can receive before it starts to affect their AISH payments. So we had that final number of $6,000, but we are able to spread that out over, you know, someone chose $1,000 a month for 6 months. Someone else chose $600 a month for 10 months, all with an interest in making something sustainable for them that wasn't going to interfere with any other program or any other part of their life. Yeah, so that's the program in a nutshell. And like Ricky said, this is the first year. And we had 65 people apply.
Wow.
In this first go around. And so we plan to do it again next year and hopefully have more applicants, and then and hopefully be able to support more artists, more than two.
A quick thing I'll just jump in with is two really important things for me were like, as someone with multiple disabilities, huge barriers for applying are language on forms. So being able to be in the decision room and to be able to say, like, we need to have a simple form translated into plain language, and then being able to translate that into plain language, that was awesome. And so also, there's not a lot of people that do translating work. So just in case anyone is looking, I'm putting myself out there, not just because I'm trying to get work, but because I want it done and I want it done right. And that there needs to be more by us for us. And I don't yet know a lot of people that are doing the by us for us. And, you know, so I'm excited about this because I'm like, oh, I can get more involved and meet more people because I'm still new to the Alberta landscape, to meeting people in Alberta. And the other thing for me is there was a friend that I actually spent almost a month contacting with. You know, I'd call her, hey, did you apply? Oh, I'm going to do that. Okay, I'm going to do that. Texting, hey, did you apply? Oh, yes, let's do that. And I said, well, just give me your information and I'll send it in for you. And we went back and forth until at 1 a.m, 2 days after the application was due, I stayed on the phone with them while they submitted it. And before we drew the numbers, made sure that their name was in, because that is how I got my first artist opportunity, was by knowing the person and being able to message them on Facebook, ask for an extension, and do my deadline in the middle of the night 2 days later. And until I think like there's more of us in positions of power, so we're able to like connect within our community and have these one-on-one interactions and encourage people, I think it will, like that, I think makes the biggest difference. And so that was a really big eye-opening experience for me. And it made me so happy to give that opportunity to my friend, even though they weren't drawn. I think it's just also to say, like, we can get more people these opportunities, especially people that might not feel like they're artists. They could be artists if we gave them the right support. That's my end of thought.
Thank you.
Ricky. So just to make sure that each one of you can know, we are going to be extending this summit till past 2 so that there can be more questions and answers if anybody wants them. We just won't have ASL past 2 o'clock. And there was also another request at any point while we're doing this Q&A that for Barbara to finish her book. So
Yeah, that'd be great.
well, I don't appear to have a new question yet, so maybe you can finish that book.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. So where am I? Okay, so they tried to cover themselves in the trees. Suddenly they saw a bright rainbow, which meant they were getting closer to the wizard. The fairies flapped their pretty wings as fast as they could, escaping the trolls. They flew up the steep mountain all the way to the top. They used the rest of the fairy dust to tell the wizard that they were there. The wizard appeared, offering the fairies his help as soon as he saw them. He was very concerned. He gave the special magic to turn the trolls into blueberries for a while to see that the fairies could get the noses back quickly. But this magic can last for a little while. The wizard used his magic to get down the mountain as the fairies flew, casting a spell. The fairies looked up and looked for the noses as quickly as they could, but they could not find them. They were frightened that all the blueberries would turn back into trolls. The wizard rung his bells and told the fairies the time was up and they had to leave Troll Village. The nose fairy saw something moving in a tree on the very edge of Troll Village. Rose flew down to take a quick look. She was shocked to find a blueberry turning him back into a baby troll. It was holding the bag of noses. Rose flew down to them to ask for the noses back. As she flew too quickly, scaring the baby, dropping the bag of noses and ran away. The nose fairy returned to her friend. Together they flew quickly as they could back to the children to return the noses before they wake up. They returned all the noses to the children before daytime. They did not use the baby noses, the baby fairy noses after all. It was happy day in fairyland. All the fairies danced together throughout the day. And that's it.
Thank you, Barbara.
Yeah, thank
All
you.
right. So just to let you know that also at 2 o'clock, our closed captioning stopped as well, just so that you all know for the rest of this is going to be without ASL or closed captioning, but we're still open for questions or in the chat.
Hi, Heath. We have a question from the Disability Action Hall, and they would like to know what is next for all of the artists and how best to support artists with disabilities in the arts. So what's next for each of the artists that spoke, and how do you think we can best support you?
So any of the artists can start, but I think that this is a round table question.
Well, I'm starting my second book, and I'm just it's just that ever since COVID hit, I haven't been like seeing about getting my book out there. It's just that I'm just it's a little troubled times in these days. It's just that I'm trying to somewhat get my book out there.
Thank you, Barb.
Same with me.
Paulette, do you have any?
Yeah, same with me. I'm like Barb. I'm starting another book. It's called, my second book, it's called My Choice, My Voice. And it's basically about self-advocates having a voice and making decisions. And I'll go through self-advocacy and the steps of advocating and speaking up for themselves.
And for Alison.
I'm actually working on some writing projects. I'm working on a fiction book and my second memoir. And I am in the middle of sort of working on a couple of choreography projects. So they're kind of on hold at the moment until we can actually do in-person rehearsals, because we actually took one in the middle of COVID and converted it on to rehearsals online, and then we videoed it, which was an awesome experience because it was like making a movie instead of just a dance piece. But yeah, we have commitments and commission things, but we're just everything is sort of on hold until we know really what the future holds. So as for supporting artists, I think providing opportunities for us to grow as artists. So that could be presenting courses or lectures or workshops so we can learn and grow, and also places to have our stuff submitted and shown. And even I know with my plays and stuff, I'm always looking for theaters that might be interested to take them on and to help me. I am very new at playwriting, so learning the art of playwriting, and I experience a disability as well. So education in playwriting or writing has not been accessible. It hasn't been accessible financially or physically. And there is so much competition in these programs that for me to get in was nowhere near a fair race because I did not have the same access or education as my peers. So providing us opportunity that we have never been given and spaces to share our voices and learn, and with individuals who understand disability and get the challenges that it brings up, and who will let us to grow and not make us feel less than or pressured to be something that we're not. So if that could be made available, especially during COVID, to help us connect as a community, because we're already so isolated that we were lacking that before, and now it is even more intense and affecting us all greatly.
Thank you, Alison. I see Ricky on the screen.
Yeah. Hi. I'm also an artist too. And I work in an arts place. And one thing I have always complained about, and complain about a lot now, is that my artistic growth is at a standstill sometimes because I cannot access accessible learning opportunities. One of the biggest ones is that I require closed captioning. And having closed captioning for my art videos is so hard. All I want is to go on YouTube and do that. And instead, YouTube has gone and removed the option for the community to help and caption other people's videos. So for me, if I want to learn a skill, I find it very difficult because here I am sitting in my house with all the time in the world. I finally have a job, so I have money, so I can buy things. I can even buy a course, but the course is still not accessible to me. So I'm supposed to be this idea of a success story, and I still can't figure it out because of how disability is decided by people who are not disabled. Those people have decided that I don't fit into their categories of disability, and so I am denied support that I need. We have this idea of high functioning or low functioning disability. And so I will be considered, if I am at all, with a high functioning cognitive or developmental disability. But I am unable to fill out a form. I cannot apply for things myself. Even on a call like this with my boss present, I admit that I struggle in my job because I want other people to know that it's okay that we struggle in our jobs and we need to ask for help. But I get no support for a support worker because I don't qualify for that. So as someone who I used to work a lot, it was unpaid. I used to do a lot of advocacy work and I burnt out, and now I do art advocacy work. I like that. It works for me right now. And I think I would love to have more spaces to collaborate with people, but also just that like our work combines. When Disability Action Hall, when you're fighting for the rights of disabled people or like the rights of someone like me to be able to be included, that means that then I, as an artist, don't feel so much pressure in other ways. So that's one way. I think that it's really important. And I also think it's just what was said already to have spaces like I come from the autistic community where we always had online spaces. And so having spaces that we can just learn that we create ourselves. There are some really cool spaces here in Alberta, but we still need more spaces that we run and learn ourselves. So learning more about those is really cool. And I think that's what would be the most helpful for me, and just to continue to advocate that, like, yeah, that things have captions or are accessible regardless of money or disability. That would be huge for me. End of thought.
That was incredibly well put, Ricky. Just wanted to add that in. That was really well said. Just, yeah, being a person with a disability myself as well, and going through those experiences as an artist. Yeah. And it's a struggle because you want to prove that you can do things, but you also want people to recognize that you're also a human and you're gonna fuck up. Pardon my language.
I told myself I wouldn't swear.
We're after hour now. No, just kidding.
Keith, maybe after Jennifer talks about what's next for her, I have another question from the audience.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. Oh, and sorry, what's next for me is that I want to just do more art for fun. Having OCD, the hardest thing for me is to admit that you can make mistakes. And so just to like be more willing to like do some art. But I'm also hoping to write a poetry book about like how COVID has been really triggering, because everyone just keeps talking about deaths and then being like, oh, but they were disabled, so that's okay. And before I moved to Alberta, I was very ill. And I had a lot of like these poetic ideas in my head about like what it meant to constantly think that I was disposable. So I really want to like wrestle with that and publish it, and maybe it will make some people think twice.
Thank you, Ricky.
Yeah.
Jennifer.
I'm working on a play that I've been working on for quite a while. It's called Cadence and Rob. It's one of those kind of nostalgic 80s type of things, which I like. And I think there's something that the Inside Out ensemble is going to be working on, but I just don't know what it is yet. Maybe Cole could talk about it.
Ooh, call out.
Yeah, so the Point of View ensemble that Jen's a part of, they just finished this amazing online performance last week. And so we're giving them a couple of weeks off before we throw the next project at them. But I'll give you the inside scoop, Jen. We're going to be playing around with politics. We want to create a show called Party Convention, where we invent a ridiculous, satirical political party. And we're gonna make a play out of the process of how leaders are chosen in political parties.
Well, that should be
with all kinds of scandals and posturing and all this kind of fun stuff. But it's a play that really we want to explore how folks with disabilities get to participate in the political conversation, and more pointedly, how often they're shut out of participating in that conversation. So that's what we have on deck for you, Jen.
cool.
And actually after this, I mean, like, I know I'm kind of leading on this because I'm actually on the board, but I don't have to talk about it. So I was wondering if either Alison or Mireille or both can address a little bit about what sort of project were we going to be having that, you know, things happened and it's going to be kind of like next year now, but maybe you could talk about such future projects.
Heath, can I interrupt for a second? Ricky needs closed captioning, and so we're just going to see if
Oh, If
And-
you need closed captioning,
That's okay. It's okay. I have my own personal backup that I pay money for.
do you use something like Otter? I use that stuff too.
I use Otter because
Fantastic.
Is there anyone else that needs? Is there anyone else that needs captioning? Okay, if no one else needs captioning, we'll continue. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. I don't like, I want to respect people's times and stuff.
Oh,
I
yeah.
also have, I don't have interaction, so I'm like, yeah, I'll hang out with people all day because otherwise all I do is sit in my house and watch Netflix and work. Yes, Cole, I do lots of work. Yes.
we have in the Self-Advocacy Federation, which is the Edmonton equivalent of the Disability Action Hall, we use a tool off of Google Slide so that we can actually have live captioning on Zoom without having to pay for a third party to get.
I've heard of this through the autistic community, particularly through Kelsey, who is from Edmonton, who I think you know because she was
she used to be part of
CRIPSiE because it's a small world and somehow we all know each other.
Yeah. I if you want, I could also send you like a guide on it, using it if you ever want it. So
we'll connect later when we're not interrupting the meeting. Yeah.
So now I'm going to interrupt the other folks from CRIPSiE to talk about our upcoming projects, if they're still here. Alison or Mireille, or both.
So Heath, we had another question from the audience. That was.
Yeah, I was just going to get through the last question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And then we can get on. Yeah.
We were in the middle of getting ready to have a show that was supposed to be this October before COVID came in. So we were in the middle of our emerging choreographers were starting their process and working on pieces and their mentorships. And Peggy Baker was in with our dancers and we were working on creation of pieces, and everything has just been put on a hold and deferred until we're tentatively deferring it for October 2021. And we're hoping for the show and then to work in the summer of 2021, pending the pandemic and COVID. Because again, a lot of people in our community are vulnerable. So they are need to be exceptionally careful and safe around other people. And right now, it's not a safe space to be anywhere. So a lot of us are locked up in our houses. So because our shows and our processes are very much about community, and for some of us are our only socialization, we thought it was important to defer it so we could have our community be in the same space and be together. So I think that's everything, but Mireille, if there's anything you'd like to add, please feel free.
No, that was great, Alison. I'm still getting my head around the Peggy Baker project. So yeah, thank you for speaking to that.
Okay, so sorry, what was the question again, Carrie?
Back to you.
Oh, you have a
On
question
the
for
camera, video camera.
What's your question, Florence?
One of my teachers today.
Do you have a question for any of the people that presented today, Florence? No, I don't think so. There was a question from Amy, and she wanted to know how Paulette went about doing her memoir, and if she has how she got started, and if she has any advice to help somebody start to write their own memoir.
Yes,
that's for you, Paulette.
Okay. I wasn't really planning to write my own memoir because I didn't really know how to do it until Sandra Mack and
I did
some
feel
other
like that.
folks when I was
Good
living
for
in Grand
COVID.
Prairie asked the things that you've done, you should write a book about your life. So I started to write about a lot of things of my childhood and upbringing, and then with all the accomplishment I had. At first, I wasn't sure what to write. Just everything, like I had so many things on my mind about how to start. So I got some assistance with a lady that I used to work with, and that worked in the publishing company, and she's the one that actually helped me organize my thoughts and put them in a book. So the way I see it, I think what it is whatever you want to write, just write it down on paper. Write it down and see if somebody could proofread it for you, or maybe they have suggestions for you to put in your book. It's whatever is in your heart.
Ricky?
I thank you so much for that, because sometimes I speak so well that people don't believe me when I say I struggle a lot with speech. Sometimes I can't speak at all. And I struggle with organizing my thoughts. And that exactly is what I wanted to say when the question was, well, how do we support disabled artists? One thing I would love to see is like a way to connect artists, even like different disabled artists with different skills. So maybe someone wants to write a memoir or just write something, and someone else is really good at writing and organizing. Because that's like, I'm not so good at organizing my thoughts sometimes. And maybe I'll send some emails or some suggestions later that can go out in an email of some writing software I like, if people use the internet or apps or anything that you can try. Like, I like to just like, I'll just write a jot note and I'll just like write a thought and then another thought, and then I'll get a friend to help me like talk through my ideas, and they can write it down in a way that makes sense for someone else to read. Because that's like, until you said that, Paulette, I wasn't thinking like, yes, that's exactly what I meant by support, because I think a lot of people don't realize that people have such good stories to tell. They might just need help with editing.
Thank you.
Sorry.
For me, what I've done is like I've written all my thoughts and all that, but like Ricky said, it's to put them in a way that people will understand, because when I start writing, I write whatever comes into mind. So I could be writing about my life and then write about something else, and then down below a couple paragraphs, I'm writing again about my life instead of other things. So it helps to have other people help help you organize your thoughts and edit your memoir. And that really helped me to get going.
Keith, I don't have any other questions.
Okay. then I guess we could either wrap it up, or if Inside Out or CRIPSiE have any films they'd be willing to share before we close.
I am out of here, Heath. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Brad.
Oh, yeah, somebody here is wondering if CRIPSiE can show a video about one of their
It's Mireille. If you can put her on co-host, she could share over the share screen.
Okay, I'm not able to do that. Rufia, are you able to make Mireille a co-host as well?
Yes, I will do that.
Okay.
I only have one of them, so.
What's her name?
Oh,
okay.
M-I-R-E. There we go. Hi.
Hi, Heath. Is there anyone in particular, or do you just want me to?
I was just thinking you could show all of them, because I have the one that Kasia and I made, but I was thinking it would be nicer to show more than just myself.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Just make sure that when you go onto the share screen, that when you're doing the settings, make sure it's share computer sound. And also click on optimize screen setting for video clips.
Okay.
Otherwise it'll come out choppy.
Got it. Let's look at this one.
My name is Sarah, and I am exploring power and control. This is a small group piece, and we will be using movement as well as text and stories generated from the lives of the dancers. There are so many different ways to explore power and control. There's internal power and control, relationships, sociopolitical relationships. So with the dancers, we will generate ideas and think about what exactly we want to explore organically. I'm interested in us sharing stories of times in our lives when we felt powerful or powerless, when we felt in control or when we felt out of control. These stories can be as literal or as abstract as the dancers desire.
There's one. I know we only have a couple minutes left, but I don't know if you want to watch some more.
Throw up the one that Kasia and I did.
Sure.
This year we came up with a new piece idea called Reconstruct, but things have changed a lot, so we just want to talk to you about the process and what we've been going through.
Before the time of COVID, we were approached with the idea of creating a piece for a performance that we were supposed to be doing in October. So Kasia and I got together and we were talking about what we had created when we were creating Deconstruct, and how would we want to take areas of that and make it into a new piece.
Some of the ideas we had from that conversation was people coming together and bringing people together, which has been very difficult right now. And we also wanted to create the machine again, but we thought, how cool would it be if we add some political gestures into the machine? And I think we've seen a lot of cool political gestures on TV with the recent political changes, and we thought, why not make a dance out of it?
And then COVID happened, and it kind of gave a new texture to everything that we were wanting to create. there was a lot of this that we actually just backtracked on when we were reading it. There's so much that we had as concepts of what we were going to create that we can really blend with the realities of what's going on today for society as a whole, so that we can actually take textures of what we wanted to create, which was maybe a little bit more insular, but actually it's to kind of capture that this is something that's a reality for almost everyone.
There, I'm back.
Well, everyone, that is us calling it over. We greatly appreciate all of you who are able to be here for this summit. For any of you wishing to come for our next summit, it's going to be on health and healthy relationships, both online and in person. So we look forward to having you with us, if you can, next Monday, same time, 1 p.m. And the links are on Facebook and several other social media resources that I probably couldn't name all of them. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the afternoon and an amazing evening. Thank you so much. Hello.